Martlet walks into the old, dusty apartment. Rowan can be seen, kneeling on the ground. Rowan is holding something in their hands, but we can't see it since they're faced away from the camera. Rowan turns their head slightly, acknowledging Martlet's presence. After a few seconds, their head turns back, facing what they're holding. Rowan stirs slightly from that statement. At this, Martlet walks over to Rowan and... After a few peaceful moments, Martlet lets go, and the two stand back up. Rowan hands Martlet a small piece of paper. We return back to Martlet's house. Martlet and Rowan approach the door before stopping, noticing Kanako on the roof, lightly scratching at Rowan's window, making some kind of whining noise. Kanako is startled by Martlet suddenly talking and falls off the roof. The three then head to the Ketukan house. Martlet and Ceroba walk off to the kitchen, and you once again have the entire Ketukan house to explore. Again, not much has changed since last time, but inspecting the couch in the living room, inspecting the bookcase that's also in the living room, there's also leaving the living room, you'll find that the guest's bedroom, the room that Ceroba is currently using as her bedroom, is locked. Trying to enter the bathroom, heading to the kitchen, where Martlet and Ceroba are, you can interact with the two. Heading to Axis's station in the laundry room, you'll find him recharging while holding Daisy's hand, interacting with the two. In this same room, you can also find a single, lonely robot. Interacting with them, Kanako quickly leaves, leaving her bedroom door open. So, you could follow her, or you could go in. Entering Kanako's bedroom, you'll find it's cleaner, for some reason. You can now also flip the blinds at your leisure without Kanako getting mad. But the main reason you would want to come in here is because of something you can find on her bed. Her drawing notebook sits open. Taking a look inside, also, on her desk, you can find heading downstairs, towards the basement door, we meet Kanako once again. Ceroba and Martlet walk towards the two. The three land in the center of the once barren desert wastes, now suddenly teeming with life as a town has been erected surrounding the central tower. Martlet is completely shocked by all of this, erratically looking in every direction. From here, you are guided to the library by Kanako, and once you get outside, barriers made by the Fastest 5 construction crew block most roads, restricting where you can go. The crew can be found hanging out beside the town hall, suspended shortly off of the ground by a comically small crane. You can also find Rosa, who's standing aside from one of the barriers. Finally arriving at the library, Kanako picks up the computer and begins to walk towards Rowan, before turning to look at the small figure of a worm inside an apple on the desk. Rowan picks up the small figure and places it on the computer Kanako is holding. Worm then chimes in. Ezrath drops a smoke bomb and disappears. Admin then looks around, examining the town. Admin snaps his fingers and a hovercraft descends from the sky. He steps on it and flies away. The group, including Martlet, lines up behind Rowan. The town has a few major buildings and areas to explore, the first being the tavern. This is a small hangout spot for some of the Darkners from the previous chapters. There's also a counter that functions as an item shop that's run by... wait, Axis? Leaving the tavern and heading to the northeast, you'll reach the music depot. Here, you'll find an easily accessible dance floor for the cast to start dancing on. You'll also find another jukebox to play songs from throughout your journey that carry across the town once selected. Heading west from there, you'll find the scrapyard, where the construction crew is hard at work. Outside, you'll find Worm, working on his new bodysuit. Heading into the scrap shop itself, you'll find admin talking with some sentinels, and the mouse unit undergoing some maintenance. Suddenly, Worm dashes in. So, to be honest, we in Team Deltarune Yellow WGY Take couldn't decide which choice to make, so I'm just gonna give you the responses to both. From here, the Sentinels leave. Of course, none of this would have happened if you had taken the 20G off the ground in Chapter 1, and if you did, this debate would have already been settled, and a bank would already be in that plot. Talking to admin again, trying to leave the scrap shop. To the right of the tavern, and past the tower, you'll find the weapons shop that's being run by Shopkeeper, or Gramps, as the people in the town call him. This shop sells weapons that you may have missed in previous chapters, albeit for a hefty price considering that you may not have found them. Heading north, you reach the jailhouse. Walking in, you'll reach a large cell blocked off by a laser grid. Inside is Count Cell, pouting. The three show off their battle poses and weapons. Heading further north from the jailhouse, you reach the Dojo. Just like in OG Deltarune, you can fight various enemies here for money. You can also refight Ezerath for a special armor that makes you immune to one blue or orange attack per bullet pattern, and can be equipped onto any party member. So as long as that party member is being targeted, the effect will work. Avoiding the clerk and interacting with Ezerath, who's against the wall, Martlet comes over and begins to repeatedly slap Ezra with one of her If you do decide to do any of the dojo challenges, once you are finished, Martlet will always run up to Rowan to check on them. Good mom. At this point, there's nothing else to do other than to leave. The three exit the basement and rush towards the front door of the Ketukan house. Kanako pauses and runs over to hug her mother. Ceroba and Kanako release from the hug, and the party walks out the door. The town is now slightly more open, as the roadblocks have slightly moved to allow access to the areas you currently need to reach. How convenient! While walking to Dinah's, you'll find that Starlo currently has the fastest four in handcuffs, sitting out in front of the police station. Interacting with the scene, the three land in a white, desolate space. White snow is coming down from the sky. Littered across the snow-filled dunes are deep grayish-black cubic crystals and strange glowing tree-like structures that emit a red glow across the landscape. And in the distance, a mountain-like structure with spotlights beaming across the skyline can be seen. Kanako looks around strangely before jumping headfirst high into the air and landing in a large pile of snow nearby. She walks over and puts a wing on Rowan, smiling down at them. She lets go and flies up into the air. Welcome to the Barrens, the first major area of this chapter. Now, in order to save time on the series that would be better used for more dialogue and lore, I'm actually going to stop listing off enemies in each area. Instead, I'm going to leave it up to you, viewers, to put your enemy ideas in the comment section. If I ever do come back around to making this series into a proper game, I will most likely use your ideas as enemies. But again, that's if I can find the time, team, and motivation to do so. Until then, just leave the ideas in the comments and I'll heart them. Eventually, after exploring for some time, you'll run into Martlet again on the path. Heading further, you'll eventually reach the base of the tall mountain-like structure. To get onto it, there's a large stone bridge. On the bridge itself is a colorful figure, hovering slightly off of the ground, fighting off blue bats that are attacking her. The figure swings their staff wildly, trying to dispatch the bats. Kanako gets ready to fight, and rushes to help the figure, but before she can arrive, the figure releases a large, heart-shaped blast that turns the bats a shade of pink as they then fly off. Okay, so let me explain this mechanic. From this point on, any party member, outside of Rowan, would have their defend option replaced with status. From the status menu, that party member could either swap party, defend, or access storage. Any one of these actions takes a turn. When swapping out party members, the ones swapped would be the party member that selected the swap party option to begin with, and the chosen new party member that will then be swapped in. Party members who are downed, of course, cannot be swapped. And that should explain the basic gist of how this mechanic works. Back to the fight. To win this fight, the first thing you need to do is use the Inform Act in the Act menu. From there, you need to use every other party member's personal action, as in their K action, W action, and M action that can be found in each party member's magic menu. The party begins to follow Mew Mew up the mountainside. Heading up the side of the mountain, the trek is rather treacherous. Several falling rocks create obstacles for the party to avoid. Eventually, you reach a door and enter a long stone hall. Walking through, the party is stopped by a large black insect-like darkener with a golden badge and large mustache. He rolls in like a ball before stopping, unrolling, and pulling out a baton. He gets abruptly cut off by 3 other similar-looking darkeners who quickly rush in. Mew Mew dashes over and knocks the black figure on top of the head with her staff, knocking him to the ground. Mew Mew begins to hover away with the 3 in the black figure, who is picked up by one of the prisoners. Martlet attempts to stop them by sending one of her feather blades at them, but this only ticks off one of the prisoners, who dashes forward at the party, pulled up in a ball. The party is sent flying back as the other group walks away. You are now free to explore the POOL, or Prison of Orb Larcenists, to your heart's content. This area is also rather treacherous, with falling rocks and traps littering the halls. Since this is the first area you're really going to be getting to try out Martlet in combat, allow me to explain how she is in battle. Since her Darkwold design is based on her Zenith form, yeah, she's a tank. She has the highest base defense and attack out of all of the party members in the game. Of course, not the exact same stats as the real Zenith Martlet, since that would be maybe a little overpowered, but still enough to be a clear reference to said form. She also primarily uses blades in the shape of feathers as her means of attack. However, to make for a downside to her being the best tank in the party, Martlet is still a little scatterbrained, and as such, has a random chance to not hear one of Rowan's instructions and miss a turn completely. Of course, it's not super common, but it still has a bit of an issue for her. Moving on from combat and walking around a path on the exterior of the mountain complex, Wandering around, you can find a deep tunnel with an elevator at the end. Several sharply dressed, metallic darkeners are unloading crates of food into the hall. Amidst the work, Dinah is being brought into the facility. The party ducks and hide behind some of the crates, not prepared to face the large mass of potential enemies. One of the orb larcenists is talking with a tall, commanding metallic figure, easily presumed to be the leader. Flay and a few of his workers enter the elevator and leave. The remaining orb, Dinah, and workers take some of the crates and leave. Progressing further into the complex, we reach a cell with the black figure locked inside. Progressing further in, you'll reach a sort of bar. It's clear that it hasn't been used in some time. Cracks line the walls, revealing the stone brick underneath. Behind the counter is Dinah. She begins to start cleaning out a glass, and 3 snakes wrap around her neck. In the bar is another character, a colorful, cat-like figure, slumped against the bar. Exploring the facility more, you'll run into some puzzles and enemies before eventually reaching the Warden's room. Inside, you'll find the key to his cell, and a picture of the pool gang, just having a good time, smiling together. Taking the key back to Warden's cell and unlocking it, now heading to the top floor, we reach a large door where Warden is waiting. The group pass through the door and enter a large, decked-out field. Battle equipment and balloons sit side by side. Around the field are several open cells. At the center of the field is a large table with party food. Sitting around the table are the crew and Mew Mew. This battle revolves around the crew of larcenists taking turns in 3 different enemy positions. The 14 enemies swapping in and out every turn, each one having a different and unique bullet pattern that they use in conjunction with their fellow members. To win this fight, you must either scare the crew back into their cells by dealing enough damage to each member, which takes a while, or by using the actions roll or X-roll in Rowan's act menu. Using roll has Warden roll up into a ball, which at that point, you would actually play a variant of pool to knock as many of the gang into their cells as possible. Using X-roll would do something similar, but it would require Martlet's help, thus forcing the player to get used to her. X-roll not only launches Warden with more force, but it also adds additional bullets to the hit, which can knock other members around as well. The fight ends whenever all 14 members of the Orb Larcenists are locked up. Heading back to the small bar where Dinah was once stationed, you'll find that it's now completely empty. Heading past her counter and into the back hall, it turns out to be a shortcut to the elevator where Flay and his crew had previously come out of. Flay now has Dinah captive. The party heads back through the facility and to the top floor once again. We find the orbs are continuing their party with Warden, now out of their cells. The party leaves the party and begins to cross a bridge, Mew Mew leading the way. Mew Mew then flies off into the colorful neon town. Without a word, Rifle quietly walks into the town.